I have to tell you, in all my years of watching legal proceedings, I have rarely seen a witness destroy their own credibility so thoroughly, so quickly, and with such arrogant confidence. Aish. Guys, really? You're about to watch a man who claims to be a top intelligence operative sit under oath and confess to a laundry list of activities that sound less like police work and more like a criminal conspiracy. Here is the roadmap of the disaster you are about to witness. First, we will show you the exact moment Mogotsi admits to running a trap. Operation targeting top police generals, not because they committed a crime, but because of internal office politics and promotions. Second, you will hear him admit, with zero shame, that he purposely leaked confidential police recordings to the media to manipulate the outcome of a disciplinary hearing. Third, we will expose the financial scandal where he admits to using his own fiance's company to funnel 149,000 rands from a suspect to fund political party celebrations. And finally, the bombshell that backfired. His claim that he received illegal phone calls from a prisoner inside a maximum security jail. Trust me, you need to see this to believe the audacity. This is a masterclass in how to incriminate yourself while thinking you are the hero of the story. So please click the like button and subscribe, because we are about to dismantle this testimony piece by piece. Dilamini, please roll the video on screen.
Again, you were involved in a 252A operation.
That's correct.
Which involves essentially setting a trap.
That's correct.
And the target of the trap, or the targets, were Generals Mchunu and Khumalo. To take you back to paragraph 36, you say, the intention, second sentence, the intention was to employ this person, that's the officer, as a Section 204 witness against both Lieutenant Colonel Khumalo and Lieutenant General Mchunu.
Yes, it's true.
Stop the tape. Let's analyze that. He admits the targets were Generals Mchunu and Khumalo. Now, usually you trap someone because they are committing a crime, right? You catch them taking a bribe or selling secrets. But when the commission asks him what the trap was based on, what did the target actually do wrong? Listen to his answer. It is mind-blowing.
The expectation of a rank. Remember he said, if I give you, say something, at least you must talk to the minister to give me a rank or something.
So it is that he said you must give him a rank that constituted what you've trapped him on.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Aish. Guys, are you hearing this? The crime he trapped them on was a conversation about a promotion. He admits that constituted what you've trapped him on. This is the incredulous interjection moment. Really? You mobilized state resources? You set up a Section 252, a trap, not because they were selling drugs, but because someone asked for a rank? This exposes the reality. This wasn't policing. This was factional warfare. He was weaponizing the intelligence apparatus to settle scores over positions. But if you think his operational methods are shaky, wait until you see his respect for the law. A real intelligence operative protects the integrity of an investigation. They keep evidence safe. What did Brown Mogotsi do? He went straight to the newspapers. Dilamini, please roll the video on screen.
with the investigations and so forth. But the only thing that I did with the copy of the recording that I had, after speaking to my handler, the conversation, the information was leaked to the media, and it was leaked by me, purposely, and upon by General Kumalo and General Mkhonazi. They had no choice because the information has leaked, and that's why I believe General Khan was acquitted. There was nothing he could do because there was a recording that proves that there was a plot to dismiss General Khan.
Did you catch that? It was leaked by me purposely. He is admitting to obstructing the course of justice. He says explicitly that because of his leak, General Mkhwanazi had no choice and ended up acquitting General Khan. He didn't let the evidence speak for itself in the hearing. He leaked it to force a specific legal outcome. Let's play the sarcastic devil's advocate for a moment. Okay, let's be fair. Maybe he is just a whistleblower who cares about the truth. If he cared about the truth, he would have submitted the recording to the presiding officer. He wouldn't have leaked it to the press to blackmail the system. He brags about it. That's me, that's me. He is proud of manipulating a disciplinary hearing. This isn't intelligence work. This is sabotage. And he just confessed to it on camera. But if you think the operational side is bad, the financial side is where this story falls off the rails completely. In the next section, we're going to look at the money, specifically 149,000 rands that went through a company called Hordle. And who owns Hordle? His fiancée. In any legitimate intelligence operation, financial distance is key. You do not mix your personal life with the target's money. It is rule number 1. But Brown Mogotsi, he didn't just break the rule, he shattered it. He admits that the target of his investigation, Mr. Matlala, paid 149,000 rands to fund ANC celebrations. But where did that money go? It didn't go to an official ANC account. It didn't go to a police undercover fund. Dlamini, please, do not sleep at work. My guy put the video on screen.
My handler was not available. Matlala assisted with the funding of transportation, entertainment, as well as accommodation of ANC members to attend the ANC celebration in Cape Town. Matlala made payment in the amount of 149,000 towards aforesaid expenses and other payments towards the travel expense of 8 persons, which included my co-handler and his partner. The amount of 149 was paid to the company called Khotle, and payments were made to service providers by the company. The additional travel for the 8 persons mentioned was paid directly by Matlala.
Can you explain to the Commission what your link to Khotle is?
The Khotle is a company owned by my fiancé. Now, to ensure when you do this traveling arrangement, it happens all the time. You do payment to certain people, and the transactions or services end up not being rendered. But then with Khotle, I knew because we had to. Other payments had to go to buses, others to flights, others they had to use to be port petrol. Now we wanted a central way of controlling the funds. That's why I used my fiancé.
So you were able to direct what would happen to the payments that were made to Khotle?
They are not only on people who were already in Cape Town, because the payment arrived when we were in Cape Town already. Yes.
And who were the service providers who were paid out of this 149,000 that was ultimately paid?
Those are different people. Like I said, you will have other people been traveling by bus. You will have people at Cape Town. They say, Tina, we want to eat this. Others will have to be given, you have to buy from a restaurant. Others you buy in a bulk. It depends. The money had to be available that side and be controlled. But as to other service providers, it is only Khotli that is able to prepare. Who else did they pay the money to?
And are you able to account for that 149,000 as to where it went?
No, Khotli must do. I'm not the director of Khotli. They have to deal with that, and if the commission requests them to do so.
Okay, but your fiancé could account for that?
Yeah, those are entities. Maybe as I'm here, I may have another fiancé. It's not a thing that I can control her business.
Stop. Did you hear that? The Hortel is a company owned by my fiancé. Aish, guys, really? You are investigating a man for corruption, and you have him deposit nearly 150,000 rands into your fiancé's bank account? And his excuse? He claims he used my fiancé because he wanted a central way of controlling the funds. This is reminiscent of the Digital Vibes scandal, where close associates and family members were used as conduits for illicit funds. It is a massive red flag for money laundering. He claims he is not a director and has nothing to do with Hotel. Yet he admits he is the one who directed the funds there to control them. He is treating his partner's company like a personal slush fund for an intelligence operation. This is not controlling funds. This is a conflict of interest so large you could see it from space. But if the money trail is dirty, the intelligence trail is downright contaminated. In this next segment, Mogotsi tries to drop his biggest bombshell. He tries to implicate General Mkhwanazi in bribery. But watch closely how he destroys his own credibility in the process. He admits to receiving calls from Matlala while Matlala was in prison. Dlamini, roll the video on screen.
That's correct, Commissioner.
So Mr. Matlala was calling you from prison?
Yes, he did call me from prison. Not Matlala was found with a cell phone in prison. And indeed, and he called me, very furious. He said, Brown, can I tell you something? You know, there was a time I told you that I went to look for someone who can solve my problem. And he said, and I said, yes, I remember. Because when I followed him, I didn't tell him that I was following him. And it became that I did not know who he met. They were driving the car, and it was something that was packed. And he said, I went to see General Mkhwanazi's house. And I also gave him something. He was talking about money. I gave him, I also gave him, but he was speaking this language. And he gave me this guy, and now he's talking like this about us. I think, and then I never said to Kate, I followed you. I did not know. Honestly speaking, I didn't see who that person was. But how he narrated everything about the day he was going to meet someone who was going to solve his problems, I remembered. And he said it was General Mkhwanazi that he went to see.
So Mogotsi wants us to believe that he followed Matlala to a house in Umhlanga months earlier, but he, a trained intelligence operative, didn't check the license plate, didn't check the address, and had no idea it was a general's house until the criminal told him on an illegal prison phone call months later. Come on, he admits, I did not know whose house was that at the time. He only remembered and connected the dots after Matlala supposedly confessed to him from jail. And here is the unasked question that destroys his story. If a known criminal confessed to you on the phone that he bribed a top police general, why did you not report it immediately? Why did you wait? Why did you continue to chat with him about his bail strategy instead of arresting him for corruption? He is relying on hearsay evidence, he said, she said, from a desperate man in prison to smear a general while admitting he himself failed to do the basic surveillance work to identify the house at the time. It is incompetent, it is convenient, and it is utterly unbelievable. And finally, just to prove how off the books this whole operation was, look at how he pays his informants. No paperwork. No oversight, just cash in hand to an Uber driver. Dlamini, do not be like Mr. Mogotsi. You know what to do. Put video on screen.
My handler, the man is standby. This is what we are looking for. In case we go right, you will please arrange something for him.
Okay, but the payment to the Uber handler comes from crime intelligence funds because you're doing work for crime intelligence.
Yeah, but now it is now. You see, now it was only 2 days that time. The handler must find someone in KZN who must facilitate that because the Uber driver is from KZN. But that was only 2 days' time, and we have only agreed upon 1,000 rand at the time, which I spoke to my handler and was able to give him something like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I just need clarity here. You are paying the Uber driver essentially to take the day off from Uber and to be your source.
Yes, and then something like that. But sometimes you become lucky, your target arrives 11 o'clock. Then it's sorted, you only give him, he can say, I give me 500.
But you're the one who's physically giving the money.
Yeah, you have to make arrangements. Either you give him cash or you arrange a shop ride. There must be something that you do for this person. Now remember, when it comes to other informants, when they get caught, he's able to say, look, on my phone, this man sent me mine. There must be always a way to exchange money with the informants, depending on the scenario.
No, my concern is not with the method. I just want to clarify that you are the one paying in this case. It's not an ordinary case where you don't pay and the handler pays. You are the one who pays in this case.
Yeah, it's more like investment. Correctly, you are correct. It's more like you tell a handler, I'm going to give this man 1,000 or whatever, but as soon as the transaction or the mission has been completed, when you get remunerated, including the money you lost, you will be able to recover in some instances.
And in terms of paperwork there, does the handler ask any evidence from you? Or?
Yeah, the source, informant source, who's my link, well, there may not be a transaction between him and my handler. I will just inform my handler that this is and this and this I must do for me to reach to this destination with this person.
But do you not have to give your handler some proof so that he can go back to the crime intelligence audit people and account for what he's given you to give to the source?
Yeah, explanation. Look, depending on the situation, commissioners. Let me give an example. There is a Uber driver will tell you, I'm transporting drugs from Hillbrow to Mamelodi. Now, and then he tells you that they give me these drugs on Friday 9 o'clock. But when you check the value of the drugs, about 10,000 rand. The value of the drugs is about 10,000 rand. You talk to an informer and say, look, there is this thing about the Uber. You see now that one, because we'll even ask him who's delivering those drugs. Probably the one who's delivering the drugs has 50,000 rand worth of drugs or 100,000 worth of drugs. Now, this person will definitely be reimbursed by your handler. Now, it must be handled by him when it comes to that. But when you speak to an Uber person in Cape Town and say, there is this guy, you remember we were talking about, he's coming, are you able to sit for me there to check when the person is coming and so forth? Obviously, we'll go to the screen at the airport and say Johannesburg to Cape Town, or Johannesburg to Durban. Okay, there are 5 flights. If it's 9 o'clock and there is a flight, the next flight comes only at 2, he may leave the airport and come at 1:30. But it doesn't necessarily mean you will at all times say sit there, even if there are only 2 flights during the day.
Yeah, I'm just interested in paperwork.
Yes.
How does crime intelligence account for this money that will ultimately end up in the hands of the Uber driver, but on what you're saying has gone through your hands?
Yes, it's when I have arranged with him and I've given him this guy and I paid him out. And in my interaction with my handler, that's when we'll cover all these other things.
But what does the paperwork say?
Oh, he comes with the paper I sign. There's nothing that I keep. It will be in a duplicate form.
So you will sign something with your handler to be reimbursed for money that you've given the Uber driver?
Yes, but you see now, you cannot go to a handler and say 5,000. You cannot speak those amounts that are not realistic. Where there is a lot of money needed, he must know in advance. And it is not the informant who determine how much. It's not the informant, commissioners. It's my arrangement with the informant, and at that time, the information, you are certain that the man is going to land on Wednesday, and the information for the Uber driver is to sit there 2 to 3 or 4 hours, and then you agree with him. If you give him 500, you tell your handler, I've given him 500. But for the work of this magnitude, not necessarily that I will want the refund if I have done that. Some of these things I afford them. What I want is to know the person that is going to help Cat do away with all these problems at that moment. Yes.
So you pay your informant, and you say you can claim it back from the handler when the mission is complete and has been achieved. The handler pays you whatever amount you say you paid the Uber driver. How does the handler know that to believe you that you paid the Uber driver 1,000 rands and not 500 rands?
Okay, maybe if you can speak in this case where I gave that man 1,000 rand. I did not claim it. I just told I thought we are talking generally, how does this thing work?
An investment. Since when do police officers invest their own salary into state operations with no receipts? There's nothing that I keep. That sums up his entire testimony. No receipts, no proof, just a trail of broken rules, leaked tapes, and payments to his fiance's company. Ladies and gentlemen, the verdict on Brown Mogotsi's testimony is clear. This was not a spy master at work. This was a cleaner who spilled the bleach on himself. He walked in to bury General Mkhwanazi, and he ended up digging his own grave. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution rests. We have spent this video dissecting the testimony of Brown Mogotsi, and the picture that has emerged is terrifying. We did not need a team of investigators to dig up dirt on this man. He brought the shovel, he dug the hole, and he jumped right in, all while under oath. Let's look at the final scorecard of this disaster. On count 1, obstruction of justice, Mogotsi admitted without hesitation that he purposely leaked police intercepts to the media to force the acquittal of his ally, General Khan. He admitted to manipulating a legal disciplinary process using the press. In any functioning democracy, that is not a tactic. That is a crime. On count 2, financial misconduct. He admitted to directing 149,000 rands of a suspect's money into a company owned by his own fiancée. He claimed it was to control the funds. But let's be honest, if a police officer uses their partner's bank account to hold money from a target, that is not controlling funds. That is the definition of a conflict of interest, and it smells like money laundering. On count 3, incompetence and hearsay. He admitted to running a trap, operation not based on serious crimes, but because someone wanted a rank or promotion. He admitted to paying informants cash with no paper trail. And he tried to destroy General Mkhwanazi's reputation using gossip from a prisoner on an illegal cell phone after failing to identify the general's house when he was actually there. So, what is the final verdict? Brown Mogotsi came to the Madlanga Commission to paint himself as a legend builder, a master spy playing 4D chess against corrupt generals. But what he revealed was a crime intelligence division that operates like a factional militia. They leak tapes to settle scores. They use family members to move money. They set traps based on office politics, and they think they are above the law. The scariest part isn't that Mogotsi did these things. The scariest part is that he thought it was okay to admit them in public. He thought he was the hero. And that, ladies and gentlemen, tells you everything you need to know about the rot within our state security apparatus. If you want to see real accountability, share this video. Make sure everyone sees what happens when the spies start talking. I am your host, and this has been The Brutal Truth. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next hearing.